ඔෆිස් එකේදී විතරක් නෙවෙයි මම දැන් ගෙදරදිත් IDD කෝල්ස් ගන්නේ SLT ෆෝන් එකේ.
ඔබේ නිවසේ SLT දුරකථනය දැන් IDD පහසුකම සහිතයි.
Turning tables. Two candidates from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna elected as mayors of Galle and Negombo despite a UNP majority. Laying fears. Prime Minister moves to put regional security fears at ease.
Someone asked me, what will you do if the Chinese land troops in Hambantota? I said, we've got a division. So we'll be there to welcome if they do that.
Moving ahead. The Active Liability Management Bill passed in Parliament with amendments. In the pipelines, a proposal to lease out 3 aircraft of the national carrier Sri Lankan. The move met with opposition.
Turkish Airlines is going to wet lease, that is with the pilots and the aircraft, 3 aircraft, to Turkish Airlines.
Growing concern. Hostages taken by a gunman in France supporting the alleged Islamic State. Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Kanayaka. Now we start this evening with one of the government's institutions which has been very much under scrutiny of late. Media spokesperson for Airline Pilots Guild of Sri Lanka, Captain Anura Abesekara, says that the proposal put forward to lease out 3 aircraft to Turkish Airlines is not a sustainable solution to address losses incurred by debt-ridden national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines. A proposal was put forward to Cabinet recently to wet lease 3 aircraft belonging to national carrier Sri Lankan for a period of 6 months to Turkish Airlines. Furthermore, the lease is to include the provision of a flight crew for all 3 aircraft.
According to the suggestion tabled at the Cabinet, it was proposed to wet lease 3 brand new A330-300 aircraft to Turkish Airlines. According to a recent media report, CEO of Sri Lankan Airlines, Suren Ratwata, said that as part of the restructuring program, the airline held discussions with interested parties who would be willing to lease aircraft during the off-peak season and return the aircraft operation during the winter tourism season. He added that the motive behind the move is to improve the financial performance of the airline. According to sources, should the Cabinet approve the lease, it is estimated to save $21 million to the debt-ridden airline and would commence the lease in the beginning of May. Speaking to other Derana, media spokesperson of the Airline Pilots Guild of Sri Lanka, Captain Anura Abesekara, revealed that 4 out of 7 board members objected to the suggestion.
We heard that Sri Lanka Turkish Airlines is going to wet lease, that is with the pilots and the aircraft, 3 aircraft, to Turkish Airlines, which we did before with the PIA. We know that there are 4 members of the board has objected to that. So our concern is that cutting down 3 stations, which is mainly Oman, Muscat, and Hong Kong, and Lahore. So we are talking about mainly Hong Kong, and giving wet lease to Turkish Airlines. And after 6 months, where are we heading? What we think is, without stopping these mainly the Muscat and Hong Kong, it is better that we keeping those stations, and also if we can wet lease to another airline or Turkish airline, that will be a better option. It is not a long-term sustainable solution to turn around Sri Lankan Airlines. That is a very temporary solution, which the NIRAS, the evaluation company which is doing a financial evaluation to recommend Sri Lankan Airlines how to get out of this financial loss, also have recommended that we go for temporary Turkish airline operation, but that is not going to help a total turnaround.
Now moving on to the subject of local authorities. After a secret ballot, 2 council members of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna were elected as mayors of Galle and Negombo municipal councils, despite the United National Party winning the relevant local bodies in the recent election. In the meantime, 2 UNP councillors were appointed as chairman of Sidua Katunayaka and Balangoda urban councils, despite Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna winning the local bodies.
In the recent local authorities election, United National Party won the majority of the Galle Municipal Council, leading with 14 out of 35 seats, followed by Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna with 13 seats. United People's Freedom Alliance and Janatha Vimukti Peramuna shared 3 seats each. Following a request by 22 council members for a secret ballot to elect the mayor, Jilit Nishanta representing the UNP and Priyantha Sahabandhu representing SLPP was proposed for the position during the first sitting of the Galle Municipal Council today. Accordingly, Priyantha Sahabandhu of the SLPP was elected as the mayor of Galle with 20 votes, while other mayoral candidate Jilit Nishanta of the UNP securing only 11 votes. The three council members of the JVP and the council member of an independent group abstained from voting. Fauzul Niaz of the UNP was elected as the deputy mayor. The UNP also won the majority at the Negombo Municipal Council by securing 19 out of 48 seats in the recent mini-polls, with SLPP securing 16 and SLFP claiming 6 seats. In an open ballot, former provincial councillor Royce Fernando came forth as a mayoral candidate, while Dayan Lanza, the brother of parliamentarian Nimal Lanza, contested from the SLPP for the position. Following the vote, Lanza was elected as the mayor of Negombo with 25 votes, while Royce Fernando could only gain 19 votes. Mohammad Fariz of SLFP was appointed the deputy mayor of the Negombo Municipal Council. 5 out of 6 SLFP council members voted for Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, while the remaining one voted for the UNP. Councillor representing the All Ceylon Muslim Congress also voted for the SLPP, while 3 councillors of the JVP abstained from voting. Meanwhile, the Siduwa Katunayaka Urban Council convened today for the first time since the local authorities election. The majority of the council was won by SLPP with 9 seats, followed by the UNP with 6 seats and SLFP next in line with 3 seats. After an open ballot to elect the chairman of the Siduwa Katunayaka Urban Council, UNP councillor Sarath Piris clinched the vote with 9 in favour, while his opponent SLPP's Lalit Rohan could only gain 8 votes. 1 member each from SLPP and JVP abstained from voting. At the Minuwangoda Urban Council, it was a candidate of the SLPP who became the chairman. In the recent local authorities election, SLPP won the Minuwangoda Urban Council with 6 seats in the council, while UNP won 5. In the vote to elect a chairman today, council member Neil Jayasekara of SLPP clinched 8 votes, while UNP councillor Shrimal Jayasekara could only manage 5. The councillor representing the JVP, however, abstained from voting. In the meantime, Maharagama Urban Council also convened today. From the 2 independent groups which won the majority in the Maharagama Urban Council, Tiraj Lakruwan, who contested under the symbol of motorcycle, took office as its chairman. Parliamentarians Dinesh Gunawardana and Vimal Veeravansa also graced the occasion. Balangoda Urban Council also convened today for the first time since the recent local authorities election. The majority of the council was won by SLPP with 7 seats against their name, with UNP claiming the right for 6 of its members, while SLFP clinched 3 seats in the council. SLPP councillor Jayantha Premakumara went head-to-head with council member Jaimina Vavegedara of the UNP for the chairmanship. Following an open ballot to elect a chairman, UNP councillor Jaimina Vavegedara emerged victorious with 9 votes. SLPP council member Jayantha Premakumara only gained 7 votes.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa said today that candidates of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna who are elected to local authorities are prohibited from profiting from ventures of local bodies. The former head of state made the remark during a swearing-in ceremony of some of the elected party members.
Newly elected local authority members of Wattala, Maharagama and Badulla took oath before former President Mahinda Rajapaksa today.
You have the sole responsibility to safeguard the victory achieved. Future elections will be decided on how you operate. You have a responsibility since all state institutions, including the FCID, the Bribery Commission and the police, are scrutinising you. If you attempt to earn through this, it will spell the end. We in fact prohibited our council chairmen, secretaries and other members from profiting from local authority ventures. President Maithripala Sirisena, who is currently in Pakistan on a 2-day official visit, graced the country's Republic Day celebrations this morning as the chief guest. This marks the first occasion where a Sri Lankan head of state was invited for Pakistan's Republic Day celebrations as the chief guest.
President Maithripala Sirisena reached Pakistan around 8 last evening and took part in Pakistan's Republic Day celebrations in Islamabad this morning as its chief guest. The Sri Lanka head of state was welcomed by Prime Minister of Pakistan Shahid Khaqan Abbasi at the event. The celebrations commenced with the arrival of President Sirisena, and the leaders of the two countries witnessed military parades and air shows put on by the air forces of Pakistan as well as Bahrain, Jordan and the United Arab Emirates. Addressing the celebration, Pakistani President Mamoon Hussain expressed his gratitude for the presence of President Maithripala Sirisena at the event. In the meantime, the renovated International Buddhist Center in Islamabad was also unveiled by President Maithripala Sirisena this afternoon.
Now, as concern continues to be raised within Sri Lanka as well as internationally on China's Belt and Road Initiative, its influence and possible threat to the ocean or Indian Ocean region Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe assures that China's involvement in strategic Sri Lankan projects will not pave way for any breach in security in the region. Speaking at a ceremony in Colombo, the Premier said, although the Hambantota port development is vested with a Chinese firm, the Sri Lankan government will bear the additional cost of building a pier for the port, as defence and security of the harbour lies with the Sri Lanka Navy. He went on to say that the role Sri Lanka determines to play in Asia, given the strategic location and security concerns, will shape foreign policy of the island nation.
China's Belt and Road Initiative and its influence has caused concern among the others. How big is China going to be a threat? It has become a massive project. There's a virtual drive on the Belt and Road Initiative. Will they be able to dominate? I don't think they can dominate. What have we done? Some say that we have allowed Hambantota to become a Chinese naval base. No. What we did was to come to an agreement for a public-private partnership between the Ports Authority and China Merchants. We had spent about $1.4 billion. We had no means of repaying it, and this was the arrangement by which Hambantota Harbour would be developed as a commercial facility. As far as security is concerned, the defence of the security of the harbour lies with the Sri Lankan Navy. So we have to spend some additional money in building the pier for Hambantota, for the Sri Lankan Navy, which will shift from Galle and Tangalla into Hambantota. Someone asked me, what will you do if the Chinese land troops in Hambantota? I said, we've got a division. So we'll be there to welcome if they do that. Then others want to know why I'm negotiating with an Indian company in running the Mattala airport, for the simple reason that we can't find traffic ourselves. And the only offer came from an Indian company. India is our neighbor, and if they develop the airport, certainly we'll have more traffic come and a profitable airport in the long term. In the meantime, the security of that airport is the Sri Lankan Air Force.
Now, moving on with other stories, the Jaffna High Court gave capital punishment to 3 persons who are convicted of murder and larceny. The crimes date back to 2010, where they shot and killed a person while seriously injuring another 3 persons in the area of Manipay in Jaffna. Now let's take a look at some other stories making news across Sri Lanka.
2 employees at a spice factory in the area of Pannampite in Dambulla died last evening after fainting at the premises. The duo had perished before being admitted to hospital, and inhalation of a toxic gas is suspected to be the cause of death. A stash of gold being smuggled into the country from Singapore is seized by customs at the Bandaranaike International Airport. The gold is valued at around 13 million rupees. A train collided with a lorry at an unguarded level crossing adjacent to the Wataraka train station last evening. The lorry's engine had suddenly stopped while attempting to clear the track, and its driver had attempted to remove it from the level crossing. His efforts proved futile, and a train plying from Colombo Fort to Abisavella collided with a stranded lorry.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, the Active Liability Management Bill passed in Parliament with amendments today. It wasn't all smooth sailing, as a tense situation arose during the voting stage, which led to the Parliament being adjourned for a period of 10 minutes.
The second reading of the Active Liability Management Bill was taken up for debate today. Accordingly, the bill was passed with 51 votes in favour and 33 against. During the debate, MP Bandaguna Wardana informed the Speaker of the absence of Minister S.V. Dissanayake from the voting stage. The Speaker later took measures to look into the matter, following which it was revealed that Minister S.V. Disanayake's vote was cast for the bill during his absence. Furthermore, technical error occurred when the display which depicts the vote of Minister of Finance and Mass Media Mangala Samaraveera failed to function. This led to a tense situation with members of the joint opposition at the heart of it. Thereby, the Speaker adjourned Parliament for 10 minutes to quell the situation and took the vote once more, during which the Active Liability Management Bill was passed with amendments. Meanwhile, the debate of the Active Liability Management Bill took place in Parliament this morning.
What the appropriation bill does is it enables to obtain loans over the stipulated amount in the current Act and enables to obtain loans which will be equal to 10% of the debt, which currently stands at 10 trillion. This means we will be able to obtain loans worth 1 trillion rupees. How do you expect to pay future loans when we were unable to bear the cost of living in the past? This is not the Active Liability Management Bill, but rather a bill that will allow fraud to take place through loans. Look at what happened to you, who is allegedly involved in the bonds scam. The IMF is in Sri Lanka, and now the foreigners are telling us how to run this country. Moving on to one of the most hotly debated topics in recent days, various politicians expressed their views regarding the no-confidence motion against Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, expected to be debated on the 4th of April.
At the party leaders' meeting held yesterday, it was decided to take up the debate on the no-confidence motion on April 4th for a duration of 12 hours and to be followed by a vote. Convening a meeting yesterday, the parliamentary group of United National Party signed a letter in support of the Prime Minister. Many other politicians too expressed their views regarding the no-confidence motion set to be debated on the 4th of April.
Whether we succeed or not, we will not end this battle until the Premier goes home. We are ready to go home if the President decides so. All others of the SLFP supported this except for one or two. We will get votes at the correct time in favour of the no-confidence motion. They said during the local government election that they will establish a SLFP government if all 96 come together. Now the President cannot go back on his word. This cannot be won if the President requests SLFP members who are with him not to sign. So the public is looking forward to the President's decision. If members representing the government vote in favour of the no-confidence motion, it is only ethical for them to resign. Yes, although he is my party leader, I however think that it is not good to have inconvenienced the government by bringing a no-confidence motion at this particular juncture. The country's governance will not see any changes. This country cannot continue. There is no trust in the government, nationally or internationally. The group, dubbed the Organisation to Protect the United National Party, says that they will move for a gargantuan Satyagraha campaign if Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe fails to step down as the leader of the United National Party, paving way for youth leadership. The comments came at a media briefing convened by the organisation in Colombo today. It's almost been 25 years since you took over the United National Party. As the leader of the party, you lost 2 presidential elections. Everyone has decided that you are unsuitable for this post. As a gift from you on your birthday, we hope that you will hand over the leadership to a younger leader. If not, we'll have to go for a gargantuan Satyagraha campaign. Yes, of course, the Senanayake generation, the Premadasa generation and the Gamini Dissanayake generation are there in the party. We request that the party be handed over to the most suitable one from them. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's special assistant Sudat Chandrasekhara has quit, launching a series of allegations ranging from arrogance, indifference, cronyism and incompetence. In his 7-page resignation letter to the Prime Minister, Sudat Chandrasekhara expressed his views and frustrations on the Premier's actions, citing numerous examples. Among the key charges is the Prime Minister's alleged failure to reward supporters and help those who stood by the party at difficult times. The letter also notes that the country and the United National Party are in this current unfortunate state because of the Premier. Sudat Chandrasekhar's resignation comes after 33 years of service. Moving on to some business news, Chinese ambassador to the United States, Cui Tiankai, said yesterday that China could fight to the end to defend its own legitimate interests with all necessary measures if the US really wants to start a trade war. Cui's remarks come after US President Donald Trump yesterday signed a memorandum that could impose tariffs on up to $60 billion of imports from China, which is seen as the latest unilateral move that poses a threat to the global trade.
Chinese ambassador to the United States, Cui Tiankai, said China does not want to have a trade war with the United States or with anybody else, but China is not afraid of and will not recoil from one if somebody imposes a trade war on it.
As far as a possible trade war is concerned, we never wanted to start. But if somebody imposes a trade war on us, we'll fight to the end.
According to the presidential memorandum, President Donald Trump directed U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer to publish a list of proposed Chinese goods that could be subject to tariffs in 15 days, while the U.S. Treasury Department will have 60 days to propose restrictions on Chinese investment in the United States. Trump said yesterday that tariffs could be about $60 million before signing the memorandum, but a senior White House official told reporters earlier in the day that the number would be close to $50 billion.
Now, Sri Lankan shares slipped to their lowest close in more than 8 weeks today. The ASPI closed 0.12% lower at 6,443.75, marking its fourth session of fall in 5. It fell 1% this week in its fourth straight weekly drop. To take a look at how the Sri Lankan stocks performed during the week, we have Stefan Dialvis from the NDB Securities.
During the week, the ASPI lost 1%, mainly due to price losses, Sampath Bank and Nestle Lanka. Meanwhile, the S&P SL20 also decreased by 1.5% for the week. Furthermore, foreigners remained active during the week, closing as net buyers, with foreign purchases accounting for 33% of the total weekly turnover. A net foreign inflow of nearly 112 million rupees was recorded for the week. This resulted in the year-to-date net foreign inflow to increase to 7.2 billion rupees.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Welcome back. It's now time to have a look at news from around the world. Armed police have shot a suspect who took hostages at a supermarket in the southern French town of Trebeil. French government sources said the gunman who reportedly killed 3 people is now dead. Reports say the gunman, believed to be Moroccan, pledged allegiance to the alleged Islamic State group. He is believed to have killed and wounded his victims in 3 separate incidents which began in Carcassonne. There, he reportedly hijacked a car, killing 1 passenger and injuring the driver. He also shot and wounded a policeman who was jogging with colleagues in Carcassonne. The suspect, then believed to have driven to Trebeil, where he took hostages in a supermarket in the small town. He is said to have been heavily armed and demanding the release of Salah Abdeslam, the most important surviving suspect in the 13th of November 2015 attack in Paris, which killed 130 people. Now, tensions surrounding Russia seems to grow, with the EU recalling its ambassador to Moscow after leaders agreed it was highly likely Russia was responsible for a nerve agent attack in the UK. Russian ambassador to the United Kingdom, Alexander Yakovenko, however, said that the UK has blamed Russia with no evidence in the former Russian spy poisoning incident.
The EU recalled its ambassador to Moscow after leaders agreed it was highly likely Russia was responsible for a nerve agent attack in the UK on an ex-spy and his daughter. In a statement, the European Council of EU leaders agreed there is no plausible alternative explanation. Russian ambassador to the United Kingdom Alexander Yakovenko, however, said that the UK has blamed Russia with no evidence in the former Russian spy poisoning incident yesterday. The ambassador claimed that the Russian government has zero connection to the poisoning incident and said that the British government has refused to cooperate with Russia on the investigation of the incident from the beginning, which is considered to be a violation of related international principles.
Now, former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon said yesterday that Facebook's data mining is business as usual, and reports that Cambridge Analytica improperly accessed data to build profiles on American voters and influence the 2016 presidential election are politically motivated. Bannon also said that there is a marketplace for data and it's bought and sold every day.
Former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon yesterday spoke for the first time on the issue of Facebook's data mining. The whistleblower and political consultancy firm Cambridge Analytica, Christopher Willey, told the Washington Post that in 2014, Bannon, who would go on to be Trump's White House advisor, oversaw the firm's early efforts to collect Facebook data to build detailed profiles on millions of American voters. Bannon, who helped set up political consultancy firm Cambridge Analytica, however, said that he didn't even know about Facebook's data mining and that media's focus on Cambridge Analytica is political.
Now, Russia didn't work out. How do we know Russia didn't work out? Because the House report shows you there's nothing on collusion. And Mueller's investigation shows you he's looking at either Trump Organization financials or he's looking at... Hang on. He's looking at obstruction of justice. My point is you struck out on Russia. Yeah. And now you've got to go to Cambridge Analytica. That's what won it for you. Yeah. And by the way, the information out there, the information for the Facebook thing, it's just about the cost of it. Did the guy pay $1 or you got to pay, $2 or $3 for it? It's just a cost thing. That data is all out there. That's how they take your stuff for free. They sell it and monetize it for huge margins. That's why the companies trade for such high valuations. Then they write algorithms and control your life.
Let's take a look at some other emerging stories from around the world.
About 150 whales have become stranded on a beach in Australia, prompting a major rescue effort. An incident controller said more than half of the beached whales had died, while authorities and volunteers were trying to save about 50 still alive on the beach and a further 25 in shallow waters. US President Donald Trump has chosen John Bolton as his new national security advisor, a hawk who has advocated using military force against Iran and North Korea and has taken a hard line against Russia. Trump said in a tweet that Bolton would replace H.R. McMaster, his current national security advisor. Bolton becomes Trump's third national security advisor in 14 months. At least 6 people were killed and 22 injured when an explosion went off outside a busy hotel in Somalia's capital yesterday. Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab militants claimed responsibility. It could be one of the quirkiest...
Time for sports, and we start with tennis. Canadian teenager Denis Shapovalov advanced to the second round of the Miami Open yesterday after a 3-set battle with Viktor Troicki. World number 1 Simona Halep survived a scare to make it into the third round in the women's draw.
The 18-year-old Denis Shapovalov nearly blew a 5-1 third-set lead before closing out Serbia's Viktor Troicki 6-3, 6-7, 7-6 to advance to a second-set round matchup with 24th-seeded Damir Zumur. Novak Djokovic, seeded 9th after his early loss in Indian Wells, will open play in Miami today against unseeded Frenchman Benoit Paire, while top-seeded Roger Federer will face off against Australian qualifier Thanasi Kokkinakis over the weekend. In the women's draw, world number 1 Simona Halep came through tough test against France's Ozan Dodin yesterday, beating the lucky loser 3-6, 6-3, 7-5 to reach the Miami Open third round.
Spectacular at times, Ozan Dodin.
Moving on to school cricket, the first Battle of the Lords between Prince College, Ratnapura and St Aloysius College was played at the Ratnapura Municipal Council Stadium today. Electing to bat first, Prince College Ratnapura scored 244 all out in their first innings. Randunu Ganganath of Prince College was the highest scorer with a knock of 130. St Aloysius College was at 9 with no wickets fallen at stumps. Meanwhile, St Thomas's College Mathura and St Servatius College Mathura locked horns in the 118th Battle of the Blues today. Winning the toss, St Servatius College invited St Thomas's College to bat first. Accordingly, St Thomas's College scored 158 all out, launching their first innings. At the end of the day's play, St Servatius College was at 63 for the loss of 2 wickets.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
We have Shanla Fernando at the Other Derana Weather Centre with your Forecast First evening edition.
A very good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Your temperatures for tomorrow will range between 18 and 31 degrees Celsius, with the lowest yet again expected in the Central Hills. Well, looking at the map, a low pressure zone will form from the Kandy district and will gradually disappear. Well, the sun will be very generous in the areas of Jaffna, Manna, Vaunia, Kandy and Colombo as well as Galle. But the areas of Mathura and Hambantota will, however, experience wet weather. That's all we have from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. But before we go, with today being Friday, it's time for the good story of the week. This week's good story comes from Bayville in New Jersey, where we meet Nick Santonastas, a 20-year-old youth born with a particular syndrome, which is a rare genetic condition that manifests itself with either uniformed organs or limbs. Despite his illness, brimming with a drive and determination that inspires others, nothing has stopped him from chasing his dream of being a fitness model and a bodybuilder. Nick confesses to having suicidal thoughts at some stage in his life, but he was very competitive and successfully beat his own demons. He is youthful, full of life and full of hope, and teaches us a lesson on how to achieve dreams irrespective of life's shortcomings. That's it from us. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.